Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is looking at the NASCAR Kentucky Quaker State 400 picks for this afternoon, starting at 2:30. Hopefully, you guys all had a great MMA day yesterday. It was an awesome set of fights. Was up until like 2:30 a.m. watching it, and then I'll just recap just so you know where I ended up based on the core. Like a 497 on DraftKings, focusing on the main events mainly. Stack the Holloway Volkanovski fight had Masvidal didn't do much except for the first round, which was great, and then Ribas and Peter Yan was amazing. FanDuel had Peter Yan at the captain spot, as you know, and he was the best play there. Also had Masvidal, who did much better on FanDuel because of the takedown defenses, and he had 11 of those, which got him 3 points each. So a pretty good day for MMA. All things considered, I'll be happy, especially since I stayed up until like almost 3 a.m. Was worth it to end up with some money. And let's get into the NASCAR picks for today. So, as always, I appreciate if you hit the like on the video and subscribe if you have not already. I love making these NASCAR picks just because I go off a lot of the driver averages at these tracks, and more often than not, unless some crazy wreck happens, it's been pretty good. So, at Kentucky here, this is the list of drivers over the last 3 years and how they've done. Kyle Busch has crushed here. This is probably one of his best tracks. He has an average finish of 3.67 in the last three races here. Best finish of second, the low finish of fifth. He had 184 laps led here, and he's at the pole. He has been struggling this year, but this is definitely a great chance for him to finally get on the finally get onto the winning board and get the win tonight or this afternoon. Only driver with all three top fives in the last three races here. I like Kyle Busch today. Hopefully he comes through. And then right behind him, you have Martin Truex, who has also done well here. He has a 326 laps led out of the last three races here. Average finish of seven. He looks great. Kurt Busch behind him. I'm not super interested in Kurt Busch because he's starting seventh, but you definitely can play him in some tournaments if you play a bunch. Then you have Harvick, obviously, he's done well at basically every track. You have Eric Jones, looks pretty good, average finish of fifth. He has the second highest average finish behind Kyle Busch. Right by that, it's Busch, Jones, Truex, Logano. I like Blaney and Hamlin a lot today. Blaney starting 11th, Hamlin starting 12th. Place differential upside, also upside to get you into the top five, maybe even win the race. And then Boyer, I like him as a cheap, as another place differential play. Not super on Elliott, although you could go there if you want, but I like some of the other expensive guys more. And then for some cheap value plays, I guess if you want to look at some guys to avoid, maybe some studs to maybe avoid, I would probably be like Keselowski struggled here, average finish of 20th. I do like Jimmy Johnson because he's starting 20th, but this hasn't been a great track for him. But I will definitely have some Jimmy Johnson just because he's starting 20th and he has legit top 10, top 5 upside. And then for the value plays, I would just mix in like some on DraftKings, some of the cheap plays. I would mix in Michael McDowell at 5,700 looks to be one of the better value plays. Besides him, I like um, Ryan Preece a little bit at starting 32nd. He hurt a lot of people last time out, but is what it is. Almost half the field wrecked in that race. Yeah, Ryan Newman at 6,100 starting 23rd. I think this is pretty interesting just because he is cheap and he's starting to some kind of get it going. Usually starting in like the teens, like 14th, 6th. Well, that's not a team, but like 14th, 13th, 14th, 14th, 16th, 17th, 17th. Doesn't give him a lot of upside, basically just an X in that scenario. But now that he's starting 23rd, he can definitely move up a few more spots. So I'd like Newman at only 6,100. But the cheap plays will definitely be Michael McDowell, Ryan Newman, and then Ty Dillon. Also looks good at starting 33rd with some also another guy that usually starts like in the 20s and 30s, but can more often than not will get you at least like 10 place differential points and can get you into like the mid teens. So Ty Dillon, I like him a lot. Some of my favorite cheap plays under 7,000 I'd say are Cole Custer, Ty Dillon, Michael McDowell, and Ryan Newman. Then maybe some Priest. And then for the expensive guys to pay up for, I would rank it Kyle Busch as my favorite at 10-1. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex second, Hamlin third, and the fourth would probably be Harvick. But first guy I would want on DraftKings is going to be Kyle Busch. He's starting at the pole. Hopefully, he can just go out and just lead a bunch of laps. The best case scenario for him would just be to lead the entire race, but I don't know if that's going to be plausible. But at least lead the majority of stage one, contend in the top like 5 at the end, and hopefully, he has like close to 100 laps led, which would give him like 10 fantasy points added. So I like Kyle Busch a bunch. Can hopefully get you some fast laps too in this one, since he will be out front, get that clean air under his tires. And then I like Truex a bunch. 9,200, just been a great race. It's just been a great track for him. Starting ninth, he has been up and down at times this year. Last time, just basically not going to fault anybody for what happened in that race, just because it was a mess. But he's been pretty decent recently. So, especially when he's playing at a track that he's done well at, he's done good. Some of these tracks he hasn't done well at, like the speedways and stuff. I like Truex today at 9,200. I think that's great. I also like Blaney at 9,800 to pay up for, but Kyle Busch, Truex are the first guys. And then right here, you have a kind of a toss-up between William Byron and Eric Jones. Even Jimmy Johnson I would throw in there, but I like Eric Jones. He has done very well at this track. He has 8 top 10s this year. And 2 out of the last 3 races, people see like 30 plus high finishes, so maybe they'll avoid him. But 8,400 for him, I just think is too cheap, especially when he's averaging like a 5th place finish. It was only 3-year sample, but he has done very well here. Low finish of 7th, high finish of 3rd. Go in depth, we can see where he started at each of these spots. So last year started 21st, finished 3rd, started 2nd, finished 7th, started 14th, finished 6th. So hopefully he can get into the top 5. That would be amazing at 8,400. But I'm assuming a top 10 finish for him, which would be great at his price point. So I like these 3 drivers a bunch. Probably some of my favorites to spend up on. And then you still have the value plays that I mentioned that I like a lot. So you have Tyler Reddick here at 8,200, starting 24th. You could definitely look his way too. But I like these 3 a bunch, and then I probably just throw in Michael McDowell at 5,700 just because he's really cheap, starting 30th. And he just doesn't get a lot of love just because, he's usually starting in like the 20s and 30s, but he's been pretty sneaky good. I was surprised, played him on the Pocono race on Saturday when he started 26th, and he had his first top 10 finish, and then he followed up with another top 10 finish last week, which isn't, anything to brag about because a bunch of drivers wrecked, but he's starting to show some improvement throughout the year, and whenever he's starting this far back, like every race he's giving you 15, at least 10 place differential up points, place differential spots, which will be great, and at 5,700, he's the cheapest out of the value plays that I mentioned. I think he makes it as a great play. Those are the DraftKings scores and the DraftKings score, and then I will go ahead and touch on my FanDuel plays. Okay, on FanDuel, they have Harvick as the most expensive driver. No question. No complaints there. But then they have Hamlin, Kyle Busch at 13,000. I like that a lot. I love Truex at 12,300. I'm not sure if I have a ton of interest in Harvick on FanDuel. I think it could even be if you make like 150 lineups, which I don't know. I might throw into the 777, but could be a spot where you just cross out Harvick and just hope that Busch just leads a bunch of laps, because Harvick, you're going to need a win basically at that price point with very limited place differential upside. You're going to need a win and then a bunch of laps led. But I'm praying that Kyle Busch can get the job done at 13,000 today. So Kyle Busch, Truex, Eric Jones, Blaney, some of the similar plays I mentioned over on DraftKings. Some differences here is going to be Christopher Bell starting 34th. I don't know why he's always starting in the 30s. Every race, it seems like. And then on FanDuel, it's always a must play. And then on DraftKings, it's always a question you have to ask yourself. But on FanDuel, I would still play him at 9,000. He's starting 34th. Gives you the highest place differential upside of any driver. It's because he has a top 10 finish upside. And he's done that a few times this year. So that's the first guy that I would have. And then I'd go back to Kyle Busch. And then I would probably go with like Truex. And then you got your value plays to mix and match here, like below 7,000. You have your Ryan Newmans, Cole Custers, Reddick at starting 24th. You have McDowell, you have Priest, and you have Ty Dillon 4,500. So that is all for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and good luck this afternoon.